What's up, fam? My name is Macro, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to layer dubstep basses like a pro.
Boom, 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 chop.
As you guys heard from the intro, that is the track that I made for this tutorial. A lot of it is sample based, so it should be easy for you guys to follow along, not too much like serum going on. And if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I'm so happy that you clicked on the video so you can learn some new stuff today. If you learned something from this video today, make sure that you subscribe and that you also put the notification bell on so that way you can get notified when I put out new videos. Before we get into it, remember to leave a comment so that way you guys can leave recommendations on things that you want to see in future videos. I don't really know too much about the project file being up for download because it's all like samples from Splice. I don't know if I'm legally able to do that, but if I do it anyways, you'll see it in the description with a link so that way you guys can download the project file. And make sure that you stick until the very end because I'm going to show you a sneak peek of something new that I'm going to be putting out soon. And it'll also have a cool little bonus tip for you guys too. So other than that, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so I'm going to try and be like real quick and clear on this video. I don't want it to be like way too freaking long, so let's like go straight into it. So I used Warlords as like the build up part like for the track and like the inspo.
Boom, 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 chop.
Yeah, so pretty self-explanatory. I used it in the drop too, and then got this going. Alright, my computer's trying to keep up, so I'm sorry, bear with me. Real quick, kick and main snare, just going. And then I used some grouping too to make sure everything was leveled out pretty well. So here's the perk group. Like for the mix down and everything, I was doing a lot when it came to like pushing things to the left and right. So I got hi-hat closed going all the way to the right, hi-hat open going all the way to the left. And then what's it called? This is where like you get into the EQing and stuff when it comes to layering and like mix downs in general, I guess. So like EQ pretty standard, just making sure that you keep the high end for like the hi-hats. Same thing right here going on. And there's a cool top loop that I got from Tisoki's pack. So like the main preface of this tutorial is like mid-side EQ and layering. So when it comes to like the mix down, it makes things a lot easier and you have everything spaced out pretty well. So in Ableton with EQ8, you can change the mode from stereo to mid-side. So when you click it to that, you're going to go on mid, which is basically like, I guess, the mono signal. And with this, I learned from Company because, you know, I'm like a Company fanatic when it comes to sound design and learning things. All you got to do is just cut to where you want. So I brought it here to 391. And then you create one of the bands here to whatever this one is. I don't know. It looks like a wishbone. Yeah, you set it to that. And it's probably going to be over here like in this area somewhere. So all you got to do is bring it out either to the left or the right of like the EQ spectrum. And then you just bring it down. So this is going to bring down the entire level for that band that you created. So everything is going down like -6 dB. And then when you click the M to go to side, now you can control the side band right here. So all I did was just do like a big cut here so that way all the mids or the mono signal of it is coming through here around what, like 500 to like 2000 kilohertz. And then everything else for the side or stereo is going to be coming out where I'm allowing it to in this area. That's pretty much like it when it comes to like mid-side EQ. You can get a bit more like complicated and complex with it, but I mean, we're just like on the perks right now. And then this was pretty cool. I had a Tynan one shot and I called it a glitch chant. Sounds pretty cool. But yeah, I just modified whatever that like chant was or like one shot. It's a one shot bit scream. So I just called it like a glitch chant. And what I did was put OTT4 band, which is from Reed Stefan's video. And I think I talked about that in my last video, Glades, my Glades based video. So make sure you go check that out if you haven't. And yeah, you can learn some cool stuff from that video too. Did some EQ work. So same thing as on the other perks, mid-side EQ, and then cutting out some frequencies in the middle. So this is, damn, there's a big freaking fly in here. There's, as you can see, like when I take it off, it has like this, like, sounds like a, like a crying seal. But when I put the EQ on, it's like cutting out the low frequencies of it. That's what it sounded like before the phaser. So let's just like clean it up a little bit and add a little bit of dimension to it. But yeah, that's going on, I don't know what to call that, like every fourth. And then this is going to be effects. So when it comes to like making a drop, you have to have some good effects in the background to fill up like the spectrum or the space, and it'll make it the whole drop like sound louder. You have to make sure you cut the levels down really, really low. People might not be able to hear them, but they're real subtle. Where is it? Right here. So like these are all real key things that you need in a drop. So here I got the horn. I'm doing the same thing where I'm doing more mid-side EQ. Like it's not that difficult. Like all you got to do is really know like or understand where you're cutting things. So like I mean, I'll talk about this more like in the basis section, but basically think of it like dinner, right? Or like food or entrees. So like you got your main thing like on your plate. Okay, I'm gonna try and describe this as best as I can as like a metaphor. So you got like, okay, like let's say it's like steak, mashed potatoes, and like peas and carrots, broccoli, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, like whatever you have, like those are your sides, and like the main course is, I don't know, the steak. I don't know where I'm going with this, but you got like your meat and potatoes, and then you got your sides. Meat and potatoes is like the main thing that you want to stand out in your mix down or like with your layering, and then you have everything that's gonna fill the sides. Damn, this is so funny. You have everything that's gonna fill the sides, so that's like your peas, your carrots, your broccoli, whatever. That's basically what you're doing with mid-side EQs. So you can see I'm cutting it, doing the same technique with this little wishbone band, and then cutting the sides too. Another thing you can do is what I did right here. It's the MSED plugin, so it helps push things to the side. If you don't have this, it's free. You can download it on Voxengo's website. But I mean, if you don't want to use that, there's tons of other plugins, or you can use Ableton's panning tool right here, over here on the right side. But yeah, you basically just push things all the way to the right or to the left, and that's how you make things real full and loud too. And then right here, this is a bunch of white noise. White noise is really good to use in your drops. So with that one, I'm pushing it hard right. Did more EQ work, mid-side. So I want to emphasize that these are going to go to the sides. So when I use the, I'm going to just keep calling it the wishbone like feature right here. Or like, what's that called? A stethoscope? That thing that like doctors use? Yeah, that thing. So you just got to grab it, and then when you bring it all the way to the side, like I said before, you can bring the entire level of it up and down. So that's what I did there. And then mid-side, or MSED by Voxengo. If you right-click and drag, then you can bring up the side, and it'll also bring down the mid. So you're really emphasizing the sides. This is the sub right here. Like I said before in my past videos, I use the Tisoki like sub bass that he has in his splice sample pack, like on everything. So of course you're not going to hear this if you're just listening through a phone. Make sure you have headphones or you're playing it on studio monitors or speakers. So what I do with this one, I don't switch it. I just keep it on stereo, and then I cut all the way down, anywhere between like 75 to like 100. It depends on if I'm layering another like mid type of bass on top of the sub to give it more like harmonics and make it sound a bit bigger. But usually I just do this for the EQ. For sub work, I also put on a kick tight. You can type it in here, but I know not to type on there or else my computer's going to freeze. So we're not going to do that. But you type kick tight up here and then you click on all results, and it's a corpus preset, and it'll be able to bring out harmonics in whatever like sub or like low end bass that you put it on. It'll bring it out a lot more, so it sounds a bit stronger and bigger. And all you got to do is just tune the knob right here to whatever key you're working in. I'm working in E, so all I did was just where is it? Right there, E. So all I gotta do is just tune it. That's all you gotta touch. You don't need to touch any of this stuff over here. Made sure that it was in mono, and then I have the side shade going with the kick. So side chaining heavy, so that way the sub is on its own and it allows the kick to come through. All right, guys, we're almost at like the bass part, the rhythm. So hang in there with me. This is just gonna fill up the empty space in the background if I didn't already with like the other perk and effect stuff going on. But I learned this from watching one of Nasco's live stream videos. I'm gonna unfreeze it. I'll play it for you guys first. So it's basically like a detuned saw wave that's just going like up and down, being modulated. I'm gonna unfreeze it, so let's see how my computer handles it. So this is the serum patch. So after I watched this video, I just saved it as like Nasco detuned background saw. But basically, you just have a saw wave. The LFO is just going to stay the same as it was before, off. Instead of trigger, 1 bar. Level stays the same as it was before when you first open on init preset. You put the unison up and then detune blend. You can turn the octaves up and then the semitones up too. I think it's semitones. But with this LFO, when you drag it over onto the coarse pitch right there, then that's what's going to give it like its pulsing up and down like motion. So see, once you drag it on, it'll see right here coarse pitch. Make sure it has the arrows going left and right, and that it's only up by a bit, maybe 20. That's what it's. So that'll help it go up and down. And then you put reverb on it, which is right here, and you just have it modulate right there. So more EQ work, mid-side EQ. So I didn't really like that, so I put this on. So you can see like where I start cutting things. I didn't want the harsh frequencies. From what I heard, it was around here. So I cut that dramatically. Could fix that a little bit. And then I cut it right here at around 3.74 in the mids. Left that all alone. Em said I pushed it like heavy. Maybe I can bring it back down a little bit. And then I just have it side chaining to kick and snare. One of them is going to the right, one of them is going to the left. All right, fun part. We're at the rhythm now. Finally, right? Okay, so it's just all like sample based. The only serum thing that I used was that ambient part, like that saw that was like fluttering in the background. So I wouldn't say use samples like this, like to make your drop and like what your whole song is about. I would say like get really creative, manipulate the audio samples so that way they don't sound like the original samples themselves. Get like real creative and have a lot of fun with them, whatever DAW you're using. So this is them just on their own. All right, so you get the idea. So I'll talk about this one first. I should actually rename this one to the layer because this is the main flow right here. This guy right here. This one is the main flow for like the tutorial like track. Yep, virtual riot, of course. So I'll show this one first since it's the main one. This is like the meat and potatoes of the of the dinner entree. So basically this one's got to like stand at the forefront of the entire mix. Like this is something you got to look for and keep in mind when you're making your tracks and your drops and everything. Like what do you want to stand out and like be the main thing for the drop or for the track. So this is what I chose. So I put a spectrum on there to analyze like what it was in. It might be around F more than like E, but it still sounded all right. Put the OTT4 band on it, and then I emphasized like the highs and mids. I took the sub completely off, and then I put on a phaser. So I'll take all this stuff off so you can hear how I was able to help make it like the main like meat and potatoes of the track. 4-band. Phaser to add some character to it. Dry wet at about 33%. That's all it was, and just moving this around a bit. So it's adding like a little bit of character to it. And then we got Fat Rack by Excellent Sound. And then here's where like the mid-side EQ comes into play. So I didn't need to use this doctor stethoscope wishbone thing for it. I was just like cutting the frequencies I didn't like, taming it down a little bit. So with mids, I cut the low end from it so that way the sub punches through. Cut close to 200 hertz to take out those frequencies. It was a little muddy. Take at 1,000, bring that down a little bit. Cut again at 3.59 kilohertz. So Virtual Right talks about this a lot. He talks about how this frequency range isn't pleasant to the human ear, so it's good to cut it down. Brought the highs up a little bit in this region, and then just cut at 22,000. So for the sides, I brought it here to 484 because I want everything in this region right here that I'm cutting from the side to be mid heavy. So if I brought this over a bit more to here, then everything that's in the mid range, all those frequencies, they're gonna also be pushed to the side a bit too. So I like to cut there so that way only this stuff up here, like the higher harmonics, are going and filling the sides. And then I didn't really do too much cutting over here at all. And then I put a reverb. So I wanted to automate the reverb specifically for this guy, so that way it's not like I'm not automating the reverb for the entire group when I want this guy to stand out the most. So you'll hear it once I play it. See, so it'll go up here because I want it to affect the whole group, you know, as a whole right here when I'm automating it, because I have it on here too for like the group, the big room reverb. But for the main flow, I wanted to control it like on its own. So that's why I automated it with its own reverb. That's pretty much like all there is like to that guy. When I was doing this, it was mainly just coming up with like a flow and like cutting it a little bit and filling in like the spaces. We can go next to this flow layer. Such a cool flow. For this one, I just took the highs, brought it down with that 4-band, and then emphasized like the low mids and the high mids. So like this is another part where it comes down to like mix down and layering. So like if you know that you cut from like one end of the frequency spectrum on, you know, one element, you boost it on another element that you're using to layer with it, and then you cut on the other sections, if that makes any sense. I did the same thing with the phaser. And then for the EQ work, this one I know is gonna like kind of help the flow, so I didn't want to cut it entirely when it came to like the damn, this fucking fly, man, I just want to hit it. So it's distracted me. So I kept it, you know, the mids kind of there. I emphasized different portions of it. You know what we're actually gonna do? We're gonna take this and we're gonna bring it down a little bit, because I was hearing earlier that like on the mix down, And you should test like your tracks in the car. Make sure that you do the car test where like you export it to audio or MP3 and you play it in the car, because you're getting sound from all sides. So it's a good way to test your tracks and see if like, oh, the sub's too loud, so you should tone it down. You might not be able to hear it in like your studio monitors or your headphones, but when you play it in the car, you'll really be able to hear what you need to take down. Like that's what happened with my JBLs, that the sub was too heavy when I tested it in the car. So I knew that I had to turn it down, and it sounded like it wasn't as heavy in my studio, but I know that like in the car and on like, let's say I play it on an iPhone or I play it like in a Bluetooth speaker, it should sound a lot better than it did before, like all sub heavy. So I'll just cut that down a little bit with the what do I call that? The wishbone. Emphasize different parts, cut right here, and the frequency that's harmful to the ears. And then for sides, I'll put it like that. So this is I put this this way, so that way it's getting pushed more to the sides. And then after that, what I did to emphasize this bass was I just duplicated it twice, and I made one that is in the lower pitch, and then one that's in a higher pitch. So this is the lower pitch, and I had to freeze it too because it was killing the computer. So I just transposed it down 1 octave, did the same type of reverb trick as before. And I did this a mid-side EQ. It's the same as it was before for like the normal one, but the difference is that I'm turning it down a lot in the volume, and I'm pushing it to the right instead of the middle. And I'm doing the same thing with the high layer. I'm pushing it all the way to the left and toning it down a lot, and should be the same, yeah, right there. But remember, I brought it up an octave, so it sounds like this. So that's gonna help it sound a lot bigger than what it is. This right here is to help fill the empty space at the beginning of the hits. So this is from Company's Pack. Company's dope, bro. And it's the same thing. I'll just cut this a little bit more. So I'm doing the same type of cutting. As you guys can see, like there's a big pattern when it comes to it. When you start using this, like you'll see like your downs and your layerings, they get a lot better. And there's no sub playing on this when it's going, like in the track. So actually I think there was. So put this EQ back. There we go. So then I took a lot of the sides off from this one, and then I just kind of did the same cuts with like the mids or like the mono signal, because there's just going to be a placeholder in between. I guess like a little like break section on the drop. And then this I'm using to support in the drop. So I'm doing the same thing, mid-side EQ, cutting down all the levels in the mono signal, and then the sides, we're just going to keep like that. So same thing as before. I feel like it's getting kind of redundant, but I'm pretty sure you guys like understand by now. This I didn't make in Serum. I just took a one-shot from Tynan's sample pack. I put an auto pen on it to make it like flutter, and then I automated it here. And OTT 4-band again, because that shit's dope. And then I did mid-side EQ work. I only wanted this to be like in the highs and on the side. And then M set on it too. So that one was, I think it was originally this. And I just made it into this. Yeah, sorry guys, my computer's kind of shitting on me. And then I just duplicated it down here after I, found what I liked in the sampler or simpler. pushed it to the left. The other one I pushed to the right. And this was cool. I found this really cool like sub bass. So I wanted that to like be on top of the sub to give us some more harmonics. So I did some mid-side EQ on that. And remember guys, you can get creative with this too. Like if you like certain parts and you want to bring them out more, you can always do something like this where you can bring it up. I mean, I wouldn't say go too heavy like that. Maybe like something like this, and then putting the Q up like that. But that's to like bring out certain harmonics or frequencies that you really like and you want to emphasize on that sound. And then I just wanted to do it again to make sure that I was actually cutting the mids right here. So like if I turn that off, kind of looks like things are bleeding through right here. So I just duplicated it, made sure that like it was really cutting right there. So yeah, that's what I did for that. I don't really think there's a lot more to go over on this, but I like really hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys made it to this like part of the video, thank you so much for watching, because I have something cool to show you right now. All right guys, so this is an unreleased remix of mine. I thought it'd be cool to like show you guys what I did for this, because it has a lot of like layering going on, so it's cool to show you like how you can put the layering and like the mid-side EQ and stuff into play and like on your mix downs. So yeah, this one I'm really excited to release. It's for Kruth's track Simulation. I put it into the remix contest, damn fly, but I'm gonna release it on my own soon, hopefully. So maybe this is something I can do if we reach 1,000 subscribers. So if we reach, we'll say it right here. If we reach 1,000 subscribers, then I'll release this remix if you guys like it. It was a lot of fun to make. So this is what it sounds like. Okay, I don't want to play too much of it. But yeah, if you guys like it, let me know. I haven't really put out a lot of songs. I've been trying to work really hard on like my YouTube and stuff. So hopefully I can put this out soon. So I'll show you the layering behind the drop. So this I froze, and I don't want to go too in like the sound design, but you can see like the EQ work for it. So same kind of thing I usually do, which is like OTTs and fat racks, and then getting into like manipulating it a bit more with like EQ work. So you can see EQs like this stuff that I learned from watching like Tynan's video. Don't want to go too much into that, but like EQ work and stuff. So that's this sound. There's another sound. See, but they're all like simple sounds, but when you layer them together, they come out real cool. And I did a mid-side EQ here. You can see what I'm doing there. And then this one right here. See, so I'm emphasizing a lot of the mid like frequency range right there, and then whatever is like coming through, I'm having it get pushed to the side, just like that little bit in this area. So when you mix them together, and then halfway through I mix it in with this guy. But you see right here I'm doing the same thing with mid-side EQ. So I'm basically just trying to like drill this into your guys' head. Like if you use mid-side EQ work, it helps you layer all your basses a lot easier. And when it comes down to like you doing a final mix down, you've already done a lot of work in the project while you were sound designing or making your arrangement and sounds and everything like fit and mold together a lot better. So that way your final mix down is a lot easier. So these are them all together on the next portion of the drop. But yeah, that's that's pretty much my favorite like part of this entire like remix. So yeah, this was like the little secret kind of like thing at the end of the video. I hope you guys like it. If I release this at like 1,000 subscribers, like, thank you guys. Like I said before, if you're new to the channel and you learned something today, it would like mean the world for me if you subscribed and you know, stay in contact and see all the like upcoming videos that I have. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna try and do videos a lot quicker like I did on this one. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Until the next video, peace out. Love you, fam. Later. Bye.